All right, folks, welcome back. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today I'm going to be talking about these matchups going into the Rams-Lions game to look out for. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media, including Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at JKBogan. And, of course, today's sponsor of today's video is none other than Prize Picks. So you can get a sign-up bonus right now, $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup using my promo code JKBogan. In addition to that, Prize Picks is also having what I would call a freebie for 4 straight weeks in September. Caleb Williams is going to be 0.5 yards. You just hit more and you have one down and a few others to go. It's very simple. You choose 2 to 6 players. You take their player projections, whether you think more or less. If you've never played before, it's really that simple. So if you want to get started today, you can by downloading the app and using the code JKBogan to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Okay. So with the Rams, going into this one against the Lions, there are some matchups that I was really eyeing. I did a lot of research on, and I feel like it's obvious if you say like Matthew Stafford versus the Lions defense. So I wanted to make it a little bit more matchup related, a little bit more one-on-one, or at least I tried. We're going to start off with, these are, in my opinion, these 5 matchups are going to make or break the game. Number 1, Puka Nacua taking on either Terrion Arnold or Carlton Davis. Now, I don't know who he's going to have lining up against him. I initially thought Terrion Arnold because he does have, some work. Obviously, he can play on the outside. He can play in the slot. Carlton Davis is specifically just on the outside. He's not really a slot corner. Doesn't really have that flexibility or versatility. So I looked back and I actually found some interesting stuff. So first off, just a refresher, Puka Nacua went off last time he played this team. 181 yards, 9 receptions on 10 targets against the Lions in the playoffs this calendar year, and the last game, the last action he had in a Rams uniform. So keep that in mind. Arnold is a first-round rookie who is very talented, very well-rounded corner, and he's going to start. But is he going to be lining up on Puka? I don't know. I'm kind of leaning that way, but I kind of see how that could actually be Carlton Davis. Puka lined up out wide 27 of the 36 snaps. Now, when I went back and I watched the game, I found that he motioned a ton. So was he always out wide necessarily? Maybe not, but 27 out of 27 out of 36 snaps, that's pretty high. And if we're going by that, and that's going to be the game plan, and Nacua is going to stay out wide, and you're not going to use him in the slot as much, then I do think it'll be Carlton Davis probably on him, and Terrion Arnold will probably take Cooper Kupp. But Arnold in college last year had a 49.1 targeted passer rating, was one of the best college corners by far. He played in the slot on 192 of his snaps, but he had 467 snaps on the outside. So I look at this matchup, and I just think going into this, personally going into the season, I think Cooper Kupp is the better receiver. I think Cooper Kupp is going to get more targets than Puka Nacua. I think a lot of the reason of last year was because of the injuries. I also think multiple times last year you saw Cooper Kupp did get healthy enough to really make an impact. And we saw that in the Ravens game. We saw that in a few games, and that's when he kind of took over. So I think it's going to be the Kupp show, potentially. And I think because of the last time the Lions saw Puka Nacua, I think they're going to take drastic measures to make sure he doesn't go off. I mean, the last time they saw Cooper Kupp, they can respect him all they want. They held him to 5 catches for 27 yards, I believe. So, I think looking at Puka Nacua, I think the entire name of the game for the Lions is going to be to neutralize him, because he is the one guy that absolutely laid waste to them in that playoff game. And I still can't believe they lost that game, because when you go back and you watch it, you're like, how'd they lose this game? They absolutely dominated the second half of the game. And honestly, you go back, you look, they lost the game because, yeah, we can say a bad penalty that wasn't called and, so forth. But really, they lost the game because when push came to shove, they settled for field goals and weren't able to punch the ball in the end zone in those, red zone opportunities. So they have to be better than that in this one. They are going to have to capitalize, but that was really what happened. So Puka Nacua taking on Terrion Arnold / Carlton Davis is definitely a matchup that is worth, keeping an eye on. You're going to have to. I mean, you're talking about a superstar and Puka Nacua. We're going to see 17 all over the place. So there's that. The number 2 matchup here I want to highlight, key matchup that could honestly change this game, is Cooper Kupp versus Carlton Davis / Terrion Arnold. Now, I didn't want to go with 2 receivers, but because obviously, but I just decided, you know what, you have to. These are the 5, matchups that can really dictate the game. And so Cooper Kupp, he was held to 5 catches, 27 yards on 8 targets when he wasn't really healthy last game. I found this interesting. I'm not saying that it means a ton because I couldn't really tell you how often they've gone up against each other. I could tell you they've gone up against each other 3 times, since 2021, but I can't tell you how much Cooper Kupp is lined up with Carlton Davis. But I went back and I looked at the history because I'm interested in that. And Davis held Kupp to 8 yards on 3 catches in their last meeting in 2022. I believe that was week 9 against the Buccaneers, that heartbreaking game where you really knew at that point 2022 wasn't going to be salvaged. They weren't going to make the playoffs. It was really kind of a bummer because when they blew that game, in Tampa, that was brutal. That was the last time Kupp faced Davis. Then before that, Davis held Kupp to 4 yards on 1 catch in the playoff game back in 2021 and 2022 divisional round. But we know what Kupp did. So I just don't think he was lined up around Kupp, consistently. I that's kind of what I'm taking here. And then Davis held Kupp to 12 yards on 2 catches in week 3 of 2021. That was, of course, the Deshaun Jackson blow-up game. I think really what it is Davis plays on the outside and Cooper Kupp is utilized on the inside as a slot to get him those opportunities. I think that's really what it was. I think, that's really Davis playing on the outside. So Davis is probably going to play up against Puka Nacua. We're probably going to see Terrion Arnold up against, Cooper Kupp. And I mean, there's a really good chance, we're going to end up seeing, a Brian Branch on Cooper Kupp as well, because, he could play that nickel role and what have you. Carlton Davis, though, is coming off a year in which he gave up 102.5 targeted passer rating, which was one of the worst years of his career. I believe gave up over 800 yards. It's worth mentioning Kupp lined up last year, or this past year, in the slot against the Lions 35 out of the 41 snaps. So both of those Puka Nacua Cooper Kupp matchups are going to be very interesting. Number 3 here, I think I've talked about him, ad nauseum on this channel. The first round rookie, 19th overall, Jared Verse, taking on Taylor Decker. Now, I've seen depth charts that have Verse on the other side, and I don't know where he's going to line up. I could see them just saying, you know what, we want to put our best, because they might think he's better than Byron Young at this point. We want to put our best guy on, Penei Sewell. I'm not so sure that's what they're going to do. I think that they end up rolling with him against the left tackle, Taylor Decker. Reason I say that is because when I was watching the limited clips that came out from training camp and joint practices and what have you, it was number 8, Jared Verse, taking on, I think it was Tyler Guyton, actually, from the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, he was on the left side, and I think he's going to stay on the left side. So, worth mentioning here, Decker in his last meeting against the Rams gave up 3 pressures on 30 pass protection snaps. Verse, of course, is a first-round rookie. He's lined up at both sides, but I think he's going to line up at left. And Verse is tied for 3rd in pass rush win rate in college last year, so he is not a slouch. This is a legitimate rookie, very similar to Terran Arnold, that can play right away and be an impact player right away instead of just being a guy. Decker, it's worth also mentioning last year, he gave up the 6th most sacks in the NFL at tackle. So all the tackles in the league, 6th most given up by Taylor Decker. They kept Goff somewhat protected, pretty protected, I would say, because while they had a lot of pressure on Goff to an extent, there wasn't any finishing. You couldn't finish a sack. That's why they went out and got guys like Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. So I think this matchup is huge. This could really dictate the whole game. If Verse just has his way with Taylor Decker, then Jared Goff is going to be running for his life. He's going to be running into pressure. If Taylor Decker essentially, eliminates Jared Verse from the game, well, now the Rams could be in some trouble. So that's an interesting proposition there. I think we're going to have kind of a back and forth, really, with all these guys. I think Carlton Davis is going to have an issue covering Puka Nacua if he goes up against him. Terran Arnold will have a hard time covering Cooper Kupp. But I think like Jared Verse and Taylor Decker, it's going to be a back and forth affair. This is still a rookie pass rusher. As much as you love him and everything, he still has not played an NFL down yet. So there has to be an understanding there. But at the same time, they're very high on him for a reason. So that's worth mentioning. Number 4 here, I don't really know which of the two Rams are going to be on Sam Laporta, whether it's Cameron Curl or Quentin Lake, or they, kind of rotate. But I could see either or. I could see John Johnson. I could see even Kobe Durant here. Worth mentioning, last time when the Rams played the Lions, Sam Laporta was playing injured. He scored a touchdown, but he was held to 3 catches for 14 yards. Pretty much wasn't the same player that, everyone knew coming into that game because he was hurt. Only Hoyt, Durant, and Yeast were charged with targets against him, last time around. So only Hoyt, Durant, and Yeast covered Laporta in the playoff game. He caught 86 passes on 118 targets for 889 yards last year and 10 touchdowns. Laporta, make no mistake about it, is a big reason why they're only keeping 4 wide receivers. They're very high on him, and rightfully so. He's one of the best tight ends in football. Laporta lined up in line 13 of his 26 snaps. So what does that tell you? I think it's pretty balanced. I think they're going to move him around. He can play in the slot. He can play it, in line. They can flex him out wide. So there's going to be different ways to get Laporta the ball. They're going to try different creative ways. So that'll be something to monitor there. Also, Quentin Lake played 32 of his 55 snaps in the playoffs in the slot. So I do think it's either going to be Lake or Cameron Curl. I'm not sure which one. Curl held tight ends last year to 15 of 23 for 143 yards in the entirety of the season. I thought you saw some great things out of Cameron Curl on film in coverage. It's always been kind of an underrated thing for him, I feel like. If you go and you look at his metrics on PFF, they don't give him the benefit of the doubt at all in coverage, but I think he's going to have his best year yet. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but Sam Laporta is a game-changing player. So if Quentin Lake, who's supposedly taking this next step, if he's able to shut him down, or if it's Cameron Curl, regardless, that would be a huge chess piece taken off the board for Jared Goff. And now you're going to have to rely on your receivers. And at that point, you could probably double an Amon-Ra St. Brown. So moving on to the 5th and final key matchup. It's got to be Tre'Davious White versus Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think this is probably going to be Darius Williams against him, but Tre'Davious White gets the nod. I think they could also go with Kobe Durant. I'm not going to rule that out, but I think it makes the most sense for Tre'Davious White, number 1 wide receiver versus their number 1 corner, de facto corner. So they've never matched up before. Fun fact, St. Brown went to Buffalo, had 9 catches for 122 yards and a touchdown on 10 targets back in 2022, but White was injured, so they didn't play each other. They've never matched up against each other before. Again, I could absolutely see them going with Durant, who did play in the playoff game against St. Brown. St. Brown just went for 119 catches for 1,515 yards and 10 touchdowns on 158 targets last year. So it is worth mentioning this is one of the best receivers in football. And versus the Rams in the playoff game, he had 7 catches on 8 targets for 110. He was huge. I mean, he had the game, essentially the game clinching first down catch. But he was lined up in the slot 16 out of the 29 snaps and out wide 13. So what do you make of St. Brown? I mean, I think St. Brown is very similar to Cooper Kupp in the way that he's utilized. I think that becomes a mismatch because he can be all over the place. It's going to be tough. I think Tre'Davious White, obviously he's coming off a major injury. I think he's going to be pretty good on Sunday. I do. I'm very curious to see how this whole thing works. I'm very curious to see if they try anything new. The game plan's a little different. The offense looks different. They really moved on from Josh Reynolds and Jonah Jackson, but for the most part, it's the same offense. So, we'll see. There are other guys as well. Tim Patrick could get involved off the practice squad. Allen Robinson, Isaiah Williams, the UDFA there, Khalif Raymond, and of course Jameson Williams. But I felt like the 5 key matchups, like these were the 5. Now, I know somebody's going to say there's no trenches here. There's no interior offensive line versus defensive line. There's a reason for that because I didn't want to sit here and be like, yeah, Kobe Turner against, Ragnow, but he's going to get double teamed. Like, I can't know for sure how the trenches are going to go. I could have just done offensive line versus defensive line, but that's just dumb. I wanted to do a more personalized key matchup, and I came away with these 5. So let me know, who do you think wins these matchups? Do you think they're a big deal? Do you have any that you feel like I missed? I think you could make the argument Colby Parkinson deserved to be on this list, but I only went with 5, so that's the way it is. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogen. And of course, be sure to check out today's sponsor, Prize Picks. You guys take care. I'll see you soon. Later, folks. For those of you who want to support the channel further, you can go ahead and you can actually sign up and become a member on the channel and have access to all different perks. You can see here the join button right below all my videos. You can hit that. You're going to get access. 99 cents a month will get you rookie access. That's going to get you all these loyalty badges and what have you, priority reply to comments. All members will have priority reply to comments. Starter $2.99. That is going to be member shoutouts. Pro Bowl is going to be auto follow back on all social media platforms. You just have to reach out to me and show me that, of course, you are a member for Pro Bowl. All Pro is members only live streams. I will be doing 1 a month for members only. MVP is priority call-ins. It's going to be hard to get everybody in during the season. Obviously, you will have your first crack at basically calling in to the show. And then last but not least, the Hall of Fame, which is $19.99 a month. And that is an exclusive gaming session with me monthly. So if you want to get a little bit more into the action while also helping out the channel, be sure to sign up for one of the memberships today. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.